Hip hip hooray! Shallot just joined Sparking Zero. I saw more than a few of you guys comment on a video I made a while ago, basically letting me know that they just added Shallot from Dragon Ball Legends to Sparking Zero. And I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. At first, I couldn't care less, but then I started to look at the history of Dragon Ball games and their methods of adding characters to the roster. And that's when I began to see all the different types of possibilities. YouTube, what it do? It's your boy No World One. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about those very possibilities. We're going to be talking about what is actually the criteria of what type of characters they actually add to the game, what made them choose Shallot, who is Shallot, and why I believe this could possibly be a good thing or it could be a bad thing for the game. We're going to talk about both sides. Let's get into it. Alright, so who is Shallot? Let me be upfront with y'all. I don't care about Shallot. When they said Shallot's come to the game, that intro was very sarcastic. I could not care less about Shallot. I don't give a damn. I wish they got somebody else. Out of all the characters, they chose Shallot. But anyways, Shallot is a character from the game Dragon Ball Legends. Now, when Dragon Ball Legends came out, I was still playing Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle. I was thinking to myself, why play a fighting game on the phone when there's other Dragon Ball fighting games on console? It just feels way better on console. Why would I play it on the phone? I'm having fun with Dokkan Battle. This is a Saiyan from a distant past, so of course there's some time traveling shenanigans. And he has access to all of the Super Saiyan forms. So that means Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue. All of those. So that was just a little bit of background of exactly who Shallot is for you guys' information. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about, like, although I don't care about Shallot, I just want to go ahead and point out, like, the thought process that this character took me through as I was looking into this DLC. So let's talk about what is the actual criteria for adding characters to a Dragon Ball game. Now, obviously, in the Dragon Ball game, you get your main characters from the main series. You get them from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT. But something that a lot of people don't realize is it's not about necessarily those series, it's about those series but the animation part of it. If anything has happened in animation, whether it be Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, 9 times out of 10 they're going to add it to the game, excluding games like Dragon Ball Heroes. Now, this can be different with games like Dokkan Battle, because Dokkan Battle, it's not necessarily a fighting game, it's a card game. You basically collect these characters, you know, you don't do the actual fighting, you just hit the bubbles and they do certain moves, basically, right? It's a collector's game, basically, a gambling game, if you will. So that's why they have such a wide variety of characters. Every now and again, you will have a game that does things a bit different. Like Raging Blast added Super Saiyan 3 Broly, which I believe at the time was a game-only character. And it had Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as well. And he was also a game-only character. Xenoverse did something similar in which they had a bunch of game-only characters, but that's mainly because of the nature of the plot or the storyline, if you will. Whereas Dragon Ball Sparking Zero doesn't really have a storyline. But it seems to me Sparking Zero is now doing cross-game character cameos. And I don't think I've seen that before with a Dragon Ball game where they take characters that are normally game only in one game and they're bringing it to another game. And I'm going to tell you why this is interesting, because I'm going to give you guys some other examples of something similar to this. So like we said, we already talked about the criteria for adding characters to a game and how Sparking Zero is breaking this criteria by adding a character from another Dragon Ball game or a mobile game. Something that a lot of people don't know is that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has already done this same thing in a way, but in a more low-key, slick way. A lot of people don't know that Beast Gohan's attack is from another game. It didn't, like, his blast attack did not happen in the show where he just blasts you with that yellow blast. It didn't happen in the show. That blast attack actually comes from a mobile game called Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. And I have that game, and I have that Beast Gohan character. He's an LR. Even though he's like a year or two old at this point, he's still one of the best characters in the game. If you have Beast Gohan, you could probably beat 80% of the events. But yeah, that blast attack came from that game. I'll probably put a clip up to show you guys. Goku Black has an unblockable attack that is actually from a manga. And these are just the two examples that I've actually seen or noticed in the game. Like, these aren't following the normal criteria. So what exactly am I trying to get at, I hear you ask, or I think that's what you're asking. I don't know what you think. What I'm getting at is, this means that this DLC could be the catalyst for fixing one of Sparking Zero's biggest problems. And I think one of those biggest problems could very well be mirror matches. When you hop into Sparking Zero, well, it's gotten better now, but usually when you hop in Sparking Zero, people usually pick the most powerful characters. It's kind of like defeating the purpose of them having this massive roster, because one of the biggest selling points of Sparking Zero was it having a big, giant, fat ass roster. But the thing is though, this was my complaint, and I feel like a lot of people had the same complaints. That big, fat ass roster was just a bunch of nonsense, because they made one character like Goku Super, for example. They could have made Goku Super one character, but he basically has one. He has Super Saiyan, he has Super Saiyan Blue. They basically made one character into 4 characters, and they've done that with multiple characters, basically.
Agent Nova 1, we've identified a key asset, the viewer. That's you. This mission is critical, 20,000 subscribers by mid-2026. Every single one strengthens our reach, our power, our momentum. If you're hearing this, your role matters. Subscribe now. Activate notifications. Together, we complete this mission, or we fail trying. The clock's ticking. Diana out.
Multiplying the roster by a huge amount. So the roster isn't really as big as they say it is. It's just filled with a bunch of fluff and transformations that normally, under normal circumstances, you would just have to transform in order to use those characters, basically. Or transform in order to become those characters, basically. Now, you still can do this in this game, but it's kind of low-key like a little bit of a lie. It's kind of fibbing the truth when it comes to the roster. I believe the fact that they're actually adding characters from different games and different series and adding moves from different pieces of media other than animation, going outside of the normal criteria, I think that this could be the catalyst for them bringing in a bunch of different characters, like the Prisoner Saiyans from Dragon Ball Heroes, like a bunch of characters from different forms of Dragon Ball media that aren't just animation, or characters from Dragon Ball Heroes that you probably wouldn't normally see in a game such as Sparking Zero. Theoretically, of course. Now, it may be a long shot, but I believe that theoretically this could mean the roster of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero could potentially be endless, maybe even putting an end to mirror matches. That is, if every time they come out with a new character that's new, fresh, nobody's really heard of them, they make them just as powerful as the other powerful characters. Dragon Ball Super right now, Goku, Piccolo, Broly, Gohan, they're all very, very, very powerful, but they're still relative, according to, what's his name, Toyotaro. Now, this could very well be a double-edged sword. You could have it to where every new character turns out to be pretty powerful, or almost equal to the already powerful characters, and everybody just has a bunch of new characters to play with. You're not going to run to a mirror match. Everybody's actually going to have favorites, instead of people just picking the most powerful guys, because everybody will be powerful. And I do believe that every character being powerful is a good thing, because then you would no longer get complaints about people wanting to play certain characters and just getting straight one-shotted. You won't have to worry about that. Kind of like how Dragon Ball FighterZ did, where every single character is viable in the game. Like, you could play as Krillin and beat somebody playing as Super Saiyan Goku. Like it wouldn't be an issue. So discussions like, oh, I can't play with this type of character or that type of character, that would become a non-issue if they start to do this. Like, as they bring new characters in, they start to softly power up not just the new characters and the old characters, but also the weaker characters. I was saying how it could be a double-edged sword. The reason why it could be double-edged sword is because if they do the opposite of that, which is with every single new unique character, like let's say bring characters from Dragon Ball Heroes, they make them way more powerful than all the other characters, even the already more powerful characters, then it's just going to be a constant cycle of power creep. Like Dokkan Battle, for example. In Dokkan Battle, if you have a leader from 3 years ago, that leader will not be able to take on the newer events without a leader from this year, or without a new leader from a few months ago. Point blank period. It's just going to be impossible, because the events have gotten so hard to where if you have characters from way back when, you're not going to be able to do anything. Characters from when Dokkan Battle first started out cannot hang right now. Now back then they may have been super awesome, game changing, but now, no way. Now there are so many possibilities, right? And this could end very well for us, or it can end very bad for us. I'm hoping that in the future, we cannot get too hyped with all this new stuff coming out and just ignore certain problems. Most of you guys overwhelmingly agree with the points I made in my recent video, but a few of you guys just thought I was complaining, that I was coming off as if I was just trying to get a bunch of views, hating on the game. And I just want to be very, very clear with you guys. I'm not just trying to shit on this game. The fact of the matter is, I actually like this game, and I hate the fact that this game was supposed to be the best Dragon Ball game ever, but there's still issues. We're still dealing with certain things that should actually be a non-issue. It's the same thought process you get when your friend or your homeboy, like, he's slacking, but you know his potential. So you got to tell him, like, hey bro, you're out of shape. Hey bro, you got to get back in the gym. Hey bro, you got to do this, you got to do that. You need to lock in, and Sparking Zero needs to lock in. Now the game looks beautiful, the game has some good mechanics, but there's still problems, simple problems in my opinion, that they can fix, that they just aren't getting to fast enough. And I'm convinced that a lot of you guys didn't really watch the video fully all the way through before you just commented. I think you just looked at the title, it was like, oh man, here come another dude hating on the game, before you even really watched and listened to it through. But Sparking Zero needs to lock in before it's too late. This game has a lot of potential. Sparking Zero is like the little brother that you see, and he has a lot of potential, but you just see him just squandering it. It just kind of pisses you off. It's like, bro, you like, just get it together, bro. It makes you want to smack him around a bit. You feel me? But Sparking Zero definitely needs to lock in before it's too late. But I'm going to just go ahead and tell you guys a few things that I've experienced just today, and let me know in the comments if you think these are like actual problems. So in the game I played today, I noticed that barriers and rocks, basically like landmarks, for some reason it's like if there's a rock near you, like, it doesn't even have to be a huge rock, but like if there's a rock near you, it will stop you from sidestepping or getting out of the way of an opponent. On top of that, it will also get you caught up in a combo, almost like a wall stomp. You know how when you play side to side fighter games where there's just a screen and it's barriers and you can just basically get stomped down in the corner? That's basically what happens with these little rocks sometimes. And it also happens with like these invisible barriers. Sometimes when you're in a barrier, it's impossible to defend yourself. You can try to vanish, you could try to do all this extra stuff, but all your opponent has to do is just keep pressing X or square, and there's not really much you can do about it to get out of there. You can't block, you can't really super counter. Like, there's just nothing you can do. I feel like that's something that can be fixed, but I just don't know how. I'm not one to complain without giving solutions, but I honestly do not know the solution to this problem. Maybe if they make those like go throughable, maybe that wouldn't be such a problem. Now, as far as the invisible barriers, I don't really know how to fix that, because I'd imagine that the invisible barriers are just like in this big old rectangle or this big old square, and they can't really expand them that much at all. And today I actually saw someone's health go up mid-fight in DP battles. Like, I was beating their ass, and like their health, it's like their health was going down, and then it jumped up super quickly, and then it started to go back down because I was beating them up. Like, there was nothing they could do about it. Another thing is, I don't know if this is a problem for anybody else, but it seems like I would literally get locked out of vanishing. It's like, I know how to vanish stuff. Seriously. Like one match, I'll be vanishing stuff back to back. But in another game, it's almost like when you're getting hit on the first knockback, I could vanish it. And then on the second time, when it's time to vanish it again, then I get hit by it. Why is it that I could vanish the first one, but not the second one? When normally I could vanish all of them. I just don't get it, y'all. And then sometimes the game will start doing that buffering shit right at the most inopportune moments, like right when you're trying to vanish. I don't know if people are actually doing those lag switcher thing. I don't even know how that's possible. Like, what links do you have to go through to actually lag switch? Like, how is that possible? I never understood that. I don't think it's a real thing, but they gotta fix the service to where it doesn't like do that at the most inopportune times, especially with a game that's based on timing with a lot of things. They gotta fix that. But yeah, things gotta get fixed. Let me know in the comments, do you think there's hope for this game? Do you think the possibilities, like the ones I listed earlier, could bring the player base back to a healthy player count? Something like 10K to 50K? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and remember, this was supposed to be the best Dragon Ball game ever. Like, comment, subscribe. You heard Diana. Catch you guys later. Peace.